Hey guys, welcome to another episode of HCC MovieMakers Academy Movie Reviews. My name is Trey, Dixon.
My name is Sami Ismail.
And I'm Soroosh, Mehdi.
And we just saw Ant-Man. Ant-Man is the latest Marvel film from director Peyton Reed. It stars Paul Rudd, Michael Douglas, and Evangeline Lilly. And in this film, Scott Lang, who is a former cat burglar, is recruited by Hank Pym, who is the former Ant-Man, to perform a big heist that might possibly save the world, and in order to do so, he has to take on the responsibilities of the Ant-Man suit. Originally, this film was slated to be directed by Edgar Wright, but they ironically got a guy who directed Yes Man to direct this movie after Edgar Wright decided not to be pushed around by Marvel Studios. So, I liked this movie. I think we all actually kind of enjoyed this movie.
Yes, we did. It was decent. It was enjoyable. Wasn't the best, but it was enjoyable. It was definitely enjoyable. One of the better of the Marvel films, I think you would agree, right?
Yes, I really appreciate the tone for this movie because a lot of times when Marvel makes a movie, they try and be really adventurous and really comic booky, but at the same time they try to ground it in a certain reality, and sometimes that becomes overbearing. But this is probably the most Marvel comic booky of all of the Marvel films I think we've gotten. Would you agree?
I don't know if I could agree because for Marvel Comics, I've been more in tuned with, Captain America and the Avengers and all that. Ant-Man, I'm sorry to say this, I never really paid too much attention to the comics with him being the star role here.
Well, it's not that you paid attention to the comics, it's just that comic book movies have a very specific tone.
Yeah.
And this movie...
Okay, as a film trying to adapt from a comic book, then I think this really hit the line for it at least, because I enjoyed it too, since we've already established that all three of us have enjoyed the movie. Again, as a comic book adaptation, I can't really say how close to par it was, because
you know what,
I wouldn't know either. I don't think any of us know.
I don't think none of us here read the comic books, but
yeah.
As far as the tone is concerned, they managed to capture it really perfectly.
Capture like a comic book style of tone. This is what he's saying.
What I gotta say is when I went into
compared to the other Marvel films, adapting from their comics,
What I gotta say is that when I went into this movie, I didn't have much expectations because I'm a big fan of Edgar Wright, and I was disappointed when I heard that he left the project. But
I didn't know about that.
But watching the film,
you saw a lot of Edgar Wright's influence.
There are certain scenes in this movie that are very clearly ripped right out of an Edgar Wright movie. There's like a bunch of Michael Pena segments where he's describing what this heist is going to be, how he heard about a heist, and it's just a bunch of quick cuts and fast camera movements, really quick editing, and it's like this looks like
narration of it, and
this looks like it belongs in Shaun of the Dead. So it's hard to discern which ideas were really Peyton Reed's ideas and which ideas were really Edgar Wright's. And what I found out when the movie ended, that they actually kept Edgar Wright's original script, which I feel like it helped the movie a lot. But I really did enjoy this movie. My biggest gripe...
But did it help Edgar Wright?
Edgar Wright still got paid for the script, so whatever. But my biggest
as long as he got the credit.
My biggest gripe with this movie is probably the villain, played by Corey Stoll.
I don't like any of the villains in any of the Marvel films.
No, they're bad villains.
They're pretty bad, boring villains.
And this is probably the most slapped-on, hackneyed, generic villain we've had in a Marvel film yet. Because like Corey Stoll's character plays this scientist who's sort of been playing around with this technology that makes you go insane, and it has to do with the Ant-Man suit. And I guess we're led to believe that he's been affected by it somehow, but it's just so underdeveloped and poorly written. But other than that, I really kind of enjoyed this movie.
Yeah, it was a fun movie. It was
enjoyable. I enjoyed Michael Pena's.
I would prefer this over anything like Captain America or Thor.
It's one of
the better ones.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
I would say I enjoyed Avengers better, just because of the humor.
What would you?
This was a little bit more.
I felt it was funner and like more adventurous and it felt like a comic book, and that's kind of what I think these movies should feel.
I think it was aimed for that.
It's like lower scaled action.
Yeah, they brought it back. All these Avengers movies are like the world ending. They gotta stop the world from ending. This movie's just about a heist. I like that they scaled that back. So on a scale from 1 to 10, what would you give this movie?
I would give this. I think we kind of agreed on it. I'd give it a 7.
Yeah, I'd give it a 7 also. What would you give it?
Maybe a 7.5.
Honestly, I was going to give it a little bit of a higher rating. I was going to give it an 8 because...
Really, an 8?
Again, I was gonna go into Michael Pena's role. I was comparing it to Tower Heist. I
like
just thought he
his
was
role
really
a lot.
funny.
All right, cool. So we would all really recommend Ant-Man. It's one of the better Marvel films that have come out recently. Thank you for watching HCC MovieMakers Academy Movie Reviews. We're brought to you by the Houston Community College Filmmaking Program and HCC TV. Visit us online at www.hccs.edu and enroll yourself in the art of filmmaking. Check out our YouTube channel and subscribe if you would like to see more reviews just like this one. As always, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.
Cut cameras.